The alarm bells screamed through the halls of Earth Command. Lisa Turner ran down the metal corridor, her boots hitting the floor hard with each step. Red lights flashed on the walls, making everything look like blood. She had never heard the emergency alarm this loud before. Lisa pushed through the heavy doors of the war room. Inside, dozens of people were talking at once. Their voices mixed together into a loud mess of worry and fear. Admiral Jack Morrison stood at the center of it all, his face white as paper. On the big screen behind him, star maps showed red dots moving closer to Earth. "Commander Turner, thank God you're here," Jack said when he saw her. His voice was shaky. Lisa had known Jack for 10 years, and she had never seen him scared like this. "What's happening, sir?" Lisa asked. She looked at the screen and felt her stomach drop. The red dots were moving fast, and there were so many of them. "The Kreks are coming," Jack said. "Our deep space sensors picked them up 3 hours ago. It's not just a few ships, Lisa. It's their entire war fleet." Lisa stared at the screen. She counted the red dots quickly in her head. There had to be at least 3,000 ships out there, maybe more. The human fleet had only 200 ships total, and most of them were old and weak compared to alien technology. "How long do we have?" she asked. 5 days, maybe 6 if we're lucky," Jack said. "They're moving faster than anything we've ever seen before." The room went quiet for a moment. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. Earth was going to lose this fight. It wasn't even going to be close. Dr. Amanda Clark, the science officer, stepped forward. Her hands were shaking as she held a data pad. "Admiral, I've been studying the Krek ships from our sensor data. Their smallest fighters are more powerful than our biggest warships. Their main battleships." She stopped talking and just shook her head. "What about the USS Guardian?" Someone asked from the back of the room. "It's our newest ship." Jack laughed, but there was no happiness in it. The Guardian wouldn't last 5 minutes against one of their scouts. "We're talking about technology that's hundreds of years ahead of ours." Lisa felt sick. She thought about her little sister back on Earth, about all the people who had no idea what was coming. They were all going to die, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. "There has to be something," she said. "Some weapon we haven't tried, some plan we haven't thought of." "I've been going over our options all morning," Jack said. "We could try to evacuate some people, but where would they go? The Kreks have already destroyed every other human colony. Earth is all that's left." The room fell silent again. Outside the big windows, Lisa could see Earth turning slowly in space. It looked so peaceful and blue. Soon it might be nothing but dead rock floating in the dark. That's when the old man walked into the room. Pete Collins was just a maintenance worker. He fixed broken lights and cleaned the floors. Most people didn't even notice him. He was small and old, with gray hair and dirty work clothes. Lisa was surprised to see him in the war room. "Sorry to bother you all," Pete said quietly, "but I heard what's happening, and I think I might be able to help." Jack looked annoyed. "Pete, this isn't the time. We're trying to figure out how to save the human race." But Pete didn't leave. He walked up to Lisa and pulled out an old piece of paper from his pocket. It was yellow and torn at the edges, like it had been folded and unfolded many times. "My grandfather gave me this before he died," Pete said. "He told me never to show it to anyone unless the world was ending." Lisa took the paper and looked at it. There were numbers written on it in faded ink. They looked like space coordinates, but they didn't match any place she knew about. "What is this?" she asked. Pete's voice got even quieter. "My grandfather worked on secret projects back in the day, real secret stuff. He told me there was a ship out there, hidden somewhere nobody could find it. He said it was too dangerous to use, so they hid it away." Jack walked over and looked at the paper. Pete, this is just a bunch of random numbers. Your grandfather was probably just confused in his old age. But Lisa was studying the coordinates more carefully. Something about them seemed familiar. She walked over to the computer and typed them in. The star map changed, showing a section of space far from Earth. These coordinates are in the Titan Nebula, she said. We've lost a lot of ships there over the years. The electromagnetic storms make it impossible to navigate. That's where he said it was, Pete said. Deep in the nebula where nobody would. Look, he called it the ghost ship. Dr. Clark laughed. Come on, Pete. You're talking about fairy tales. There's no secret supership hidden out there. But Lisa was thinking. She remembered reading about the lost ships in the Titan Nebula. Official reports said they were destroyed by natural forces, but some of the wreckage they found didn't match that story. The metal was twisted in ways that storms couldn't explain. What else did your grandfather tell you about this ship? Lisa asked. Pete looked around the room nervously. He said it wasn't really human technology. Said they found something out there and tried to copy it. But when they tested it, strange things started happening. The pilots said the ship was talking to them. Command got scared and shut the whole project down. Jack shook his head. Lisa, you can't be taking this seriously. We're facing the biggest crisis in human history, and you want to chase ghost stories? Lisa looked at the coordinates again. Then she looked at the screen, showing all those red dots moving toward Earth. Humanity was about to die anyway. What did they have to lose? Sir, request permission to take a small ship and investigate these coordinates, she said. Absolutely. Not, Jack said. I need every ship here to defend Earth. Admiral, with respect, you just said it yourself. Our entire fleet won't stop even one of their main ships. But if there's even a small chance that Pete's grandfather was telling the truth, ... Jack stared at her for a long moment. Around them, the alarms kept ringing. The red dots on the screen kept moving closer to Earth. Finally, Jack sighed. Take a reconnaissance ship, small crew only. And Lisa, if you're not back in 4 days, we'll assume you're dead. Lisa nodded. She looked at Pete, who was smiling for the first time since he'd entered the room. Thank you for believing me, he said. Lisa hoped she wasn't making the biggest mistake of her life. Lisa stood in the ship bay, watching her small crew load supplies into the reconnaissance ship called the Swift Arrow. She had picked only 3 people to come with her. Danny Rodriguez was the best engineer she knew, and Kate Sullivan could fix any communication system in the galaxy. Pete Collins had asked to come too, and Lisa agreed. If they found his grandfather's ghost ship, they would need him there. The Swift Arrow was not a big ship. It was built for speed and stealth, not for fighting. Its hull was painted dark gray to hide it from enemy sensors. Lisa hoped they would not meet any Krek ships on their way to the Titan Nebula. All systems ready, Commander, Danny said. He was a young man with dark hair and quick hands. Lisa had seen him fix broken engines in minutes when other engineers said it would take hours. Kate finished checking the communication equipment. She was tall and thin, with red hair tied back in a ponytail. Long-range communications are working perfectly. We should be able to talk to Earth Command until we get deep into the nebula. Lisa nodded and looked at Pete. The old man was sitting quietly in the corner, holding his grandfather's old paper. He looked nervous but excited at the same time. Are you sure about those coordinates, Pete? Lisa asked. As sure as I can be, he said. My grandfather never lied to me. If he said there was something out there, then there is. Lisa took one last look at Earth through the big windows of the ship bay. Her home world looked so small and peaceful from here. In 4 days, the Kreks would arrive and try to destroy everything she loved. This mission was probably crazy, but it was their only hope. "Let's go find ourselves a ghost ship," she said. The swift arrow left Earth's orbit and jumped into hyperspace. The journey to the Titan Nebula would take 18 hours. Lisa tried to sleep during the trip, but her mind was too busy thinking about what they might find out there. The Titan Nebula was one of the most dangerous places in known space. It was a huge cloud of gas and dust left over from an exploded star. Inside the nebula, electromagnetic storms could fry a ship's electronics in seconds. Gravity wells could appear without warning and crush a vessel into scrap metal. More than 50 ships had been lost in the nebula over the past 100 years. When they dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the nebula, Lisa felt her breath catch in her throat. The nebula stretched out in front of them like a giant purple and blue wall. Lightning danced between the clouds of gas, and the whole thing seemed to pulse like a living heart. "Sensors are going crazy," Danny said, looking at his instruments. "I'm getting readings that don't make any sense." Kate was having trouble too. Communications are starting to break up. "The electromagnetic interference is stronger than I expected." Lisa looked at the coordinates Pete had given her. They pointed to a spot deep inside the nebula, farther than any ship had ever gone before. "We'll have to go in slow and careful," she said. "Danny, cut our speed to 1/4. Kate, try to keep a signal lock with Earth Command as long as you can." The swift arrow moved into the nebula like a tiny fish swimming into a dark ocean. The purple and blue clouds closed around them, blocking out the stars. Lightning crashed against their shields, making the whole ship shake. For hours, they flew deeper into the storm. Danny had to constantly adjust their course to avoid the worst of the electromagnetic pulses. Kate lost contact with Earth Command after the first hour. The interference was too strong. "How much farther?" Lisa asked Pete. The old man was studying his grandfather's paper with a magnifying glass. "According to these numbers, we should be getting close." Suddenly, Danny's instruments started beeping wildly. "Commander, I'm picking up something big on sensors." "It's not natural." Lisa looked at the screen. Through all the interference and static, she could see the outline of something huge floating in the gas clouds ahead of them. "Take us closer," she said. As they moved forward, the object became clearer. It was a space station, bigger than anything Lisa had ever seen. It was made of dark metal and had a strange, twisted design that hurt to look at. The station was orbiting around a small, dying star that gave off an eerie red light. "My God," Kate whispered. "How long has this been out here?" "A long time," Pete said quietly. "My grandfather said they built it during the early days of space exploration, back when everything was secret." Lisa stared at the station in amazement. It was easily 10 times bigger than Earth Command. How had they managed to build something this huge without anyone knowing about it? "Look at that," Danny said, pointing at the screen. "There's something docked to the station." Lisa's heart started beating faster. Attached to the side of the space station was a ship unlike anything she had ever seen. It was long and sleek, with curves that seemed to flow like water. The metal looked alive somehow, as if it was breathing. Even from a distance, Lisa could tell the ship was not built with human technology. "That's it," Pete said, his voice full of wonder. "That's the ghost ship my grandfather told me about." As they got closer to the station, lights began turning on throughout the structure. It was as if the station was waking up after a long sleep. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "The station is responding to our presence," Danny said. "Something is scanning our ship." A voice suddenly came through their communication system. It was clear and strong, with no interference at all. The voice belonged to a woman, but there was something strange about it, as if it was coming from very far away. "Welcome, travelers. I have been waiting for you for a very long time." Kate looked at her instruments in confusion. "Commander, This signal isn't coming from outside our ship. It's coming from inside our own computer systems. The voice spoke again. Please dock with the station. There is much you need to learn, and very little time to learn it. The enemy approaches, and humanity's survival depends on what happens next. Lisa made her decision. Whatever was waiting for them on that station, it was their only hope of saving Earth. Take us in, Danny. Let's meet our ghost. The swift arrow docked with the space station with a soft thud. Lisa could feel her hands shaking as she put on her spacesuit. Whatever was waiting for them inside this place, she knew it would change everything. The airlock opened with a hiss of old air. Lisa stepped through first, followed by Danny, Kate, and Pete. Emergency lights flickered on as they walked down a long metal corridor. The walls were covered with symbols that looked almost human, but not quite right. The air is breathable, Danny said, checking his scanner. But this place has been empty for a long time. Their footsteps echoed in the silence as they moved deeper into the station. Everything was covered with a thin layer of dust, but the machinery around them still hummed with power. Whoever built this place had made it to last. They reached a large room filled with computer screens and control panels. In the center of the room stood a single chair facing the biggest screen. As soon as Lisa entered the room, the screen turned on. A woman appeared on the screen. She looked to be about 50 years old, with gray hair and kind eyes. She wore a white lab coat with the old Earth Defense logo on it. But there was something wrong with the image. Lisa could see through the woman like she was made of light. Hello, the woman said with a warm smile. My name is Dr. Helen Martinez. If you are seeing this message, then humanity is in great danger. Pete stepped forward. That's her. That's the woman my grandfather told me about. She was the head scientist on the secret project. Dr. Martinez continued talking as if she could hear them. I have been dead for 30 years, but my consciousness lives on in the station's computer systems. I have been waiting for someone brave enough to find this place. Lisa felt cold all over. She was talking to a ghost, a person who had died before Lisa was even born. The ship you see docked outside is called the USS Phantom, Dr. Martinez said. It is humanity's greatest achievement and our most terrible mistake. We built it using technology that we found in a crashed alien vessel 50 years ago. The screen changed to show pictures of the alien crash site. Lisa saw pieces of strange metal and machines that looked like they grew instead of being built. Scientists in old-fashioned spacesuits were carefully studying everything. The aliens called themselves the architects, Dr. Martinez explained. They were an ancient race that disappeared millions of years ago. Their technology was beyond anything we could imagine. We spent 10 years trying to understand even the simplest parts of their ship. More pictures appeared on the screen. Lisa saw the USS Phantom being built in a secret shipyard hidden in deep space. The ship looked wrong somehow, as if human hands had tried to copy something they did not understand. We thought we were being careful, Dr. Martinez said, and her voice became sad. We thought we could control their technology, but the Phantom was not just a ship. It was something alive. Danny looked confused. What does she mean, alive? The screen showed video of the Phantom's first test flight. Lisa watched as the ship moved through space in ways that should have been impossible. It bent and twisted like a snake, and beams of light shot from its weapons that seemed to tear holes in space itself. The test pilots reported strange things. Dr. Martinez continued. They said the ship was talking to them, showing them visions of other worlds and other times. Some of them claimed they could see the future. Others said they could read minds. The video changed to show one of the test pilots. He was a young man with scared eyes, and he was talking to a doctor. It's not just a ship, the pilot said in the old video. There's something inside it, something that's been waiting for a very long time. It wants to use us for something, but I don't know what. Dr. Martinez appeared on the screen again. After the third test flight, we decided the Phantom was too dangerous to use. The pilot from that flight never came back. His body was on the ship, but his mind was gone. In his place was something else, something that knew things no human should. No. Lisa felt sick to her stomach. What happened to the project? We shut it down, Dr. Martinez said. The government ordered us to hide the ship where it could never be found. But I knew that someday humanity would face a threat so great that we would need the Phantom, no matter how dangerous it was. The screen showed pictures of the space station being built around the dying star. Hundreds of workers had died building it in secret, Dr. Martinez explained. The official records said they had been killed in accidents, but really, they had been sworn to secrecy and sent to live new lives on distant worlds. The Phantom has been waiting here ever since, Dr. Martinez said. The alien consciousness inside it sleeps, but it dreams of the day when it will fly again. It dreams of war and death and the end of everything. Kate stepped closer to the screen. Doctor, how do we control it? How do we use it without becoming like that test pilot? Dr. Martinez smiled sadly. You don't control the Phantom. You make a deal with it. The alien consciousness inside the ship will bond with one person, usually the ship's captain. That person will gain incredible power and knowledge, but they will slowly lose their humanity. Lisa felt her heart pounding. What do you mean? Lose their humanity? The alien memories will replace your human ones, Dr. Martinez explained. Your thoughts will become their thoughts. Your feelings will become their feelings. In the end, you will still be alive, but you will no longer be human. The room fell silent. Outside, Lisa could see the USS Phantom through a window. The ship seemed to pulse with its own light, as if it knew they were talking about it. There is something else you must know, Dr. Martinez said. The architects did not disappear. They transcended physical existence and became one with their ships. They have been fighting a war for millions of years against something that exists between dimensions. The Phantom is not just a weapon. It is a guardian, and whoever bonds with it will join that eternal war. Pete looked at the coordinates his grandfather had given him. Why did my grandfather want us to find this place? Dr. Martinez looked directly at him through the screen. Because he knew that someday humanity would face the same enemy that destroyed so many other races. The cracks are just the beginning. Behind them comes something far worse, something that feeds on entire civilizations. Lisa made her decision. Earth was going to die unless someone took control of the Phantom. The price was terrible, but there was no choice. How do I bond with the ship? She asked. Dr. Martinez's image began to fade. Touch the control interface on the ship's bridge. The alien consciousness will do the rest. But remember, Commander Turner, once you make this choice, there is no going back. The screen went dark, leaving them alone in the silent room. Lisa walked through the connecting tunnel from the space station to the USS Phantom. Her heart was beating so hard she could hear it in her ears. Behind her, Danny, Kate, and Pete followed quietly. None of them spoke. They all knew what was about to happen. The entrance to the Phantom opened before them like a mouth. Inside, the ship was unlike anything Lisa had ever seen. The walls curved and flowed like they were alive. Blue lights pulsed along the ceiling in patterns that almost looked like a heartbeat. The floor felt warm under their feet. This doesn't look like any human ship, Danny whispered. Kate was scanning the walls with her equipment. These materials don't match anything in our databases. It's like the ship grew instead of being built. They walked down the main corridor toward the bridge. Along the way, they passed rooms filled with machines that hummed with strange energy. Some of the devices looked like they were breathing. Others seemed to watch them as they passed by. Pete stayed close to Lisa. "My grandfather was right to be scared of this place," he said quietly. The bridge was a large round room with a single chair in the center. Above the chair, a crystal hung from the ceiling. The crystal was dark now, but Lisa could see light moving inside it like trapped lightning. Around the room, screens showed star maps and alien symbols that hurt to look at. Lisa approached the chair slowly. As she got closer, the crystal began to glow brighter. The screens around the room flickered to life, showing images of space battles and alien worlds. Some of the images showed creatures that looked like the Kreks, but others showed things far worse. "Commander, maybe we should think about this more," Danny said. His voice was shaky. Lisa stopped in front of the chair. She knew that once she sat down and touched the control interface, everything would change. She would gain the power to save Earth, but she would lose herself in the process. "There's no time," she said. "The Kreks will reach Earth in 2 days. This is our only chance." She sat down in the chair. Immediately, she felt the ship respond to her presence. The walls around her began to pulse faster, and the crystal above her head started spinning. Symbols appeared on the screens, writing themselves in languages no human had ever seen. Lisa reached out and touched the crystal control interface. The moment her fingers made contact, the world exploded into light and sound. Lisa felt her mind being pulled apart and put back together. Memories that were not her own flooded into her thoughts. She saw the birth and death of stars, the rise and fall of civilizations, and wars that had raged across the galaxy for millions of years. A voice spoke inside her head. It was ancient and powerful, unlike anything human. "Welcome, young one. I am Zephyr, last of the architects. I have been waiting for you." Lisa tried to speak, but found she could not move her body. She was trapped inside her own mind, while the alien presence examined her thoughts and memories. "You seek to save your people from the Kreks," Zephyr continued. "But you do not understand the true threat. The Kreks are slaves to something far worse. They serve the Devourers, beings from between dimensions who consume entire realities." Lisa saw visions of the Devourers. They were not physical creatures, but things made of pure hunger and darkness. They moved through space by tearing holes in reality itself. Wherever they went, they left nothing behind but empty void. "The architects fought the Devourers for eons," Zephyr explained. "We could not defeat them, but we could contain them. We became one with our ships to guard the barriers between dimensions. But the barriers are weakening." More memories flooded Lisa's mind. She saw the architects as they once were, tall beings of pure energy who had transcended physical form millions of years ago. They had built ships like the Phantom to serve as eternal guardians, watching and waiting for the Devourers to return. "The Kreks found one of our ships and learned to partially control it," Zephyr said. "Their meddling has damaged the barriers. Soon, the Devourers will break through, and your universe will burn." Lisa finally managed to speak, though her voice sounded strange and distant. "What do you want from me?" "I want to bond with you," Zephyr replied. "Together, we can stop the Kreks and repair the barriers. But the cost is high. You will become like me, neither fully human nor fully architect. You will live forever, but you will watch everyone you love age and die." Lisa thought of her sister back on Earth, of all the people who would die if the Kreks won. The choice was terrible, but it was not really a choice at all. "I accept," she said. The moment she spoke those words, Lisa felt Zephyr's consciousness merge with her own. Knowledge flooded her mind. She learned how to control the Phantom's weapons, how to bend space and time, how to phase between dimensions. But with each new piece of knowledge, she felt a part of her humanity slip away. On the bridge, Danny watched in horror as Lisa's eyes began to glow with blue light. Her hair started to float as if she was underwater, and her skin took on a pale, almost translucent quality. "Lisa," Kate shouted. "Can you hear us?" Lisa turned to look at her friends, but her expression was different now. There was an ancient sadness in her eyes, as if she had seen the birth and death of countless worlds. "I can hear you," she said, but her voice echoed strangely. "But I am no longer just Lisa Turner. I am also Zephyr, guardian of the void." The ship around them came alive. The walls began to pulse with energy, and the Phantom detached from the space station. Outside the windows, they could see space bending around the ship as it prepared to move. Suddenly, alarms began blaring. Kate ran to the communication console and gasped. "Commander, we're receiving a message from the Krex fleet. They've detected us. 3 of their scout ships are heading this way." Lisa stood up from the captain's chair. The crystal above her head was now blazing with light, and symbols were writing themselves on every screen. "Good," she said with a smile that was not quite human. "It's time to test the Phantom's weapons. And it's time to show the Krex what real power looks like." The USS Phantom turned toward the approaching enemy ships. For the first time in 50 years, the mythical warship was ready for battle. But the woman commanding it was no longer entirely human, and the war she was about to fight would determine the fate of the entire universe. The 3 Krex scout ships moved through space like metal sharks hunting for prey. Each ship was twice the size of Earth's biggest warship, covered in black armor and bristling with weapons. They had come to investigate the strange energy readings. From the Titan Nebula, Lisa stood on the bridge of the USS Phantom, watching the enemy ships approach. Her eyes glowed with blue light, and when she spoke, her voice carried the wisdom of millions of years. "Denny, Kate, Pete, you should strap yourselves in," she said calmly. "What you are about to see will be unlike any battle in human history." Danny was staring at the screens showing the Krex ships. "Commander, those ships are huge. Are you sure the Phantom can handle 3 of them?" Lisa smiled, but it was not her old smile. There was something ancient and terrible in her expression now. The Phantom was built to fight things far worse than the Krex. Watch and learn. The lead Krex ship fired first. A beam of red energy shot across space toward the Phantom. The beam was powerful enough to destroy a city, but Lisa did not try to dodge it. Instead, she touched the crystal control interface dot. The Phantom simply was not there anymore. The energy beam passed through empty space, where the ship had been a second before. The Krex ships scanned frantically, but their sensors could find nothing. "Where did we go?" Kate whispered, looking around the bridge. Everything looked the same, but she felt different, like she was floating between dreams. "We shifted into dimensional phase," Lisa explained. "We exist between realities now. The Krex can't see us or touch us." The Phantom reappeared directly, behind the 3 enemy ships. Lisa placed both hands on the crystal interface, and the ship's weapons came online. But these were not normal weapons. They were tools that could reshape reality itself. "First lesson," Lisa said to her crew. "The architects did not fight with bullets or lasers. They fought with the fundamental forces of the universe." She pressed her palm against a glowing symbol on the crystal. Space around the lead Krex ship began to bend and twist. The ship's hull started to crumple like paper as gravity increased around it by 1,000 times. In seconds, the massive warship was crushed into a ball of twisted metal. The other 2 Krex ships turned to face the Phantom, firing every weapon they had. Dozens of energy beams and missiles shot toward the human vessel. Lisa touched another symbol. Time slowed down around the Phantom. The enemy weapons moved like they were flying through thick honey. Lisa calmly steered the ship between the slow-moving attacks, dancing around death with impossible grace. "This is incredible," Danny breathed. We're moving between their shots like they're standing still. But Kate was watching Lisa's face. The commander's skin was getting paler, and her hair was starting to turn white. Each time she used the ship's power, she became less human. Lisa, what's happening to you? Kate asked. Lisa glanced at her reflection in one of the screens. She could see the changes too. The price of using architect technology, she said quietly. Each time I tap into the Phantom's full power, I lose more of my human memories and emotions. But it's the only way to save Earth. The second Krex ship tried to ram the Phantom. Lisa let it get close, then opened a portal in space. The enemy ship flew through the portal and came out on the other side of the nebula, too far away to rejoin the fight. The last Krex ship was the largest of the three. Its captain seemed to realize what kind of enemy they were facing, because the ship started to retreat, trying to escape back to the main fleet. No, Lisa said coldly. You'll take a message to your masters. She placed her entire hand on the crystal interface. The Phantom disappeared and reappeared directly in front of the fleeing Krex ship. But this time, something strange happened. Multiple copies of the Phantom appeared around the enemy vessel, each one solid and real. Pete stared in amazement. How are there 5 of us? The ship exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously, Lisa explained. I can manifest those versions in our reality when needed. The 5 Phantoms surrounded the Krex ship. Lisa's voice somehow reached the enemy vessel, speaking directly into their communication systems. I am Lisa Turner of Earth, bonded with Zephyr of the Architects. Tell your Devourer Masters that the Guardians have returned. Tell them that humanity will not fall as easily as the other races. And tell them that if they want this galaxy, they will have to face the full power of the Architect fleet. The Krex ship trembled as Lisa's words reached them. The aliens inside could sense the ancient power flowing through her voice. They had never encountered anything like it before. Lisa let the ship go. It limped away toward the Krex fleet, carrying her message dot as the enemy vessel disappeared. The multiple versions of the Phantom faded away until only the real ship remained. Lisa stepped back from the crystal interface and nearly fell down. Danny caught her arm. Commander, you don't look good, he said with worry. Lisa looked at her hands. They were almost transparent now, and she could see blue energy flowing through her veins like blood. Her reflection showed a face that was still hers, but older and stranger. I'm running out of time, she said. Each use of the ship's power takes more of my humanity. Soon, I won't remember what it felt like to be human at all. Kate checked the communication system. I'm picking up transmissions from the Krex fleet. They're talking about something called the Ancient Guardians. They sound scared. Good, Lisa said. Fear will make them hesitate, but not for long. The main fleet will reach Earth in 18 hours. Pete looked at the coordinates his grandfather had given him, now meaningless on this cosmic battlefield. What do we do now? Lisa walked to the viewing window and stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 3,000 Krex ships were racing toward Earth. Behind them, hidden in the spaces between dimensions, ancient enemies stirred and prepared to break through into reality. Now we go home, she said. It's time for the final battle. The Krex think they're conquering Earth, but they're about to learn that humanity has guardians they never imagined. The USS Phantom turned toward Earth and vanished into hyperspace, carrying its changed captain toward the greatest battle in human history. But Lisa Turner was no longer entirely human, and the war she was flying toward would decide the fate of not just Earth, but the entire universe. In the depths of space, the Krex fleet received the scout ship's message and felt fear for the first time in their conquering history. Something had awakened in the galaxy, something ancient and terrible, and beyond their understanding. The real war was about to begin. The Earth Defense Fleet floated in space around their home world, waiting for death. 200 human ships faced the darkness, knowing they could not win. Admiral Jack Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the long-range sensors. With growing dread. 3,000 Krek ships, sir, his communications officer reported. They'll be here in 20 minutes. Jack looked out the window at Earth. The blue and green planet turned slowly in space, peaceful and beautiful. Most of the people down there had no idea what was coming. The government had decided not to tell them. What was the point of causing panic when there was no hope? All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. Jack spoke into his communicator. Remember, we're not fighting to win today. We're fighting to give Earth a few more minutes of life. Make every shot count. That's when the impossible happened. A portal opened in space right in the middle of the human fleet. Energy crackled around the edges like purple lightning. Through the portal came a ship that no one in the fleet recognized, yet somehow it looked familiar. The USS Phantom emerged from hyperspace like a ghost materializing from a dream. The ship was long and curved, its hull shifting colors from black to silver to blue. Energy flowed along its surface like living veins, and the space around it seemed to bend and twist. Unknown vessel, identify yourself, Jack called over the radio. A voice answered, but it was not quite human anymore. This is Commander Lisa Turner of the USS Phantom. I've come home to defend Earth. Jack's mouth fell open. Lisa Turner had been missing for 3 days. Command had assumed she was dead. Lisa? Where the hell have you been? And what kind of ship? Is that? A ship that was hidden until humanity needed it most, Lisa replied. Admiral, please move your fleet back. What's about to happen will be dangerous for normal ships. Before Jack could respond, the Krek's fleet arrived. 3,000 alien warships dropped out of hyperspace like a metal storm. Each ship was massive and dark, bristling with weapons that could destroy cities. Together, they formed a wall of death. That stretched across space. The largest Krek ship, their command vessel, sent a message to Earth. Humans, you will surrender now or be destroyed. Your resistance is meaningless. We have conquered 100 worlds, and yours will be no different. That's when Lisa's voice cut across all communication channels. But now her voice carried power that made the stars themselves seem to listen. Krek's fleet, this is your only warning. Leave this system now, or face the consequences. You have awakened something you do not understand. The Krek's commander laughed. One strange ship against 3,000? You humans are even more foolish than we thought. One ship, Lisa repeated quietly. Yes, but not just any ship. She placed both hands on the crystal interface. The USS Phantom began to change. The ship stretched and twisted, becoming larger and more complex. Parts of it faded in and out of reality as it existed in multiple dimensions at once. The energy flowing through its hull grew brighter until the Phantom became like a small star. My God, Jack whispered from his flagship. What is that thing? Lisa felt her humanity slipping away with each second. Her memories of childhood were fading, replaced by ancient knowledge of cosmic wars. But she held on to one thing, her love for Earth and its people. The Krek's fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams and missiles shot toward the Phantom. It should have been destroyed instantly. Instead, Lisa opened portals around her ship. The enemy weapons disappeared into the portals and came out behind the Krek's fleet, striking their own ships. Explosions bloomed across space as the aliens' attacks turned against them. Impossible, the Krek's commander said. Lisa's voice echoed across space with the power of the architects. You serve the Devourers, the enemies of all life. For millions of years, my people have fought to keep them locked away, but you have damaged the barriers with your stolen ship. The prison walls are breaking. The space around the Krex command ship began to crack like broken glass. Through the cracks, something terrible started to push through. The Devourers were trying to break into normal reality. "Do you see what you have done?" Lisa asked. "Do you see what you have unleashed?" Fear filled the Krex commander's voice. "We did not know. The ancient ship told us it would give us power." "The ship lied," Lisa said. "It was corrupted by the Devourers. It turned you into their servants." Lisa made her choice. To save Earth and stop the Devourers from breaking through, she would have to use the Phantom's ultimate weapon. But doing so would cost her the last of her humanity. She pressed her entire body against the crystal interface. Power flowed through her like fire, rewriting her DNA and turning her into something beyond human understanding. Her physical form began to fade as she became one with the ship. "Lisa, no!" Kate screamed from the bridge. But it was too late. The USS Phantom unleashed the full power of the architects. Space itself twisted and folded. The Krex fleet simply stopped existing, erased from reality by weapons that rewrote the laws of physics. The cracks leading to the Devourer dimension sealed shut, trapping the ancient enemies once again. But the cost was everything. Where Lisa Turner had stood, only energy remained. Her consciousness had merged completely with the ship and with Zephyr. She was no longer human, no longer even alive in any way that mattered. The Phantom spoke one last time to the human fleet. Lisa's voice was still there, but it was distant and strange, like an echo from another world. "Earth is safe. The immediate threat is over. But the war continues in dimensions you cannot see. I must go now, enjoying the eternal watch. Tell my sister I love her. Tell everyone that humanity is stronger than they know." The USS Phantom began to fade from normal space. As it disappeared, Lisa's voice carried one final message. The universe is vast and full of dangers, but it is also full of wonders. Keep exploring, keep growing, and remember that somewhere out there, guardians are watching over you. The ship vanished completely, leaving only empty space where 3,000 enemy vessels had been moments before. Admiral Jack Morrison wiped tears from his eyes as he sent a message to Earth Command. "The Krex fleet has been destroyed. The threat is over." Commander Lisa Turner gave her life to save us all. On Earth, people looked up at the night sky and saw new stars twinkling in the darkness. They didn't know that one of those lights was the USS Phantom, now existing between dimensions, continuing an ancient war to protect all life in the universe. And somewhere in that light, the spirit of a human woman named Lisa Turner stood eternal watch, having become something greater than herself to save everything she loved.